Last Moment of Clarity is a debut feature-length movie from directors Colin and James Kreisel. Since I've been in the middle of catching up on the year and talking about movies that have come out in the past couple of months, going to this movie I was thinking, why not talk about a new release? The movie dropped on VOD on May 19th, and really the only reason I had heard of it was because of Samara Weaving's name attached to it. She's consistently been a great actress and has appeared in some really interesting movies over the past couple of years, like The Babysitter and Ready or Not. So I decided to rent it, and in about the first 5 minutes, instantly regretted that decision. To be completely blunt, this probably will be one of the worst movies I'll see all year. Where to ever begin with this one? As I mentioned before, Colin and James Kreisel are first-time directors, and it really shows here. Big time. There are so many useless scenes throughout the entire movie that make little to zero sense in the context of the film. The shots feel unsteady and lame, and just the structure feels completely off. There's no pacing in this film whatsoever. Everything just kind of happens in random order and doesn't have any structure to it. The movie's plot feels like the writers put literally anything in the script and went with the first draft they could come up with. Most of the movie's problems can really be put on the writers, to be honest. The characters are completely underdeveloped, the plot makes zero sense, and pretty much nothing happens for 90% of the movie. For almost an hour, you are watching nothing happen. It's some guy walking around a couple of different locations and having flashbacks of the same night from a 4-year relationship. The so-called villains in the story are completely shoehorned in at the last second. They're not given any build-up or reasoning for being there except for a few offhand comments. They just show up in the middle of the movie and become a threat out of nowhere. Also, spoilers ahead for this one, but they are defeated in the most lame way possible. In a series of really confusing events, which actually sounds like a great title for this movie, they track down the protagonist and then get their asses whooped by complete civilians. Completely normal people killed trained thugs, which again makes no sense whatsoever. Also, a lot of so-called twists in this movie and that make no sense. But I could go on and on about how bad the script is. From the thin character motivations and lack of plot, the script is a disaster and I could drone on about it forever. The movie also has a severe editing problem though. There are so many reused scenes and random cuts that you would think the person has never edited a movie before. I mean, it makes my editing look like a Hollywood editor. This movie this movie has zero flow or anything resembling pacing remotely. The ending is so choppy that the movie feels like it can't focus on one scene at a time, almost like it has ADHD. Also, the lead actor in this movie, Zach Avery, is terrible. He gives one of the most lifeless and wooden performances I've ever seen. He has zero charm, emotion, and I'm half convinced that he actually is a robot. While the throwaway dialogue isn't giving him any favors, both Samara Weaving and Carly Chaikin, I hope I pronounced that right, managed to give solid performances with the script they're given. So really, he has no excuse for being this terrible. I can honestly go on and on about how bad this movie is. While I wouldn't call 2019 a great year for movies, not a single movie I saw last year was as dumb as Last Moment of Clarity. It's confusing, poorly written, boring. This movie just actively wastes my time, and I feel like it's the ultimate sin when it comes to really any movie. Last Moment of Clarity gets an F. Thank you so much for watching.